Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! In the quiet suburbs where identical houses lined the streets like soldiers on parade, Robert navigated his days at the local community college with the ease of someone who preferred invisibility. At 18, he was just another face in the crowd, his auburn hair falling in soft waves that he kept neatly trimmed to avoid drawing attention. His classmates, all adults over 18 pursuing their degrees, barely noticed him as he slipped into lectures on literature and history, his notes meticulous, but his voice rarely heard. He blended seamlessly, a shadow among the brighter personalities who dominated discussions and group projects. But when the final bell rang and he returned to the empty house, his parents often away on business trips, and his older sister long since moved out for her own adult life, everything shifted. The solitude was his sanctuary, a place where the world's expectations dissolved. It had begun innocently enough, a few years back when he was still figuring out who he was, rummaging through the attic boxes filled with forgotten items. His sister's old clothes, discarded after she outgrew them, caught his eye. A simple skirt, soft and flowing, and a blouse with delicate lace edges. Curiosity pulled him in. He wondered what it would feel like, just once, to step outside the rigid lines of his everyday jeans and t-shirts. Slipping into them that first time, alone in his room with the door locked, Robert felt a spark of something unfamiliar, yet profoundly comforting. The fabric hugged his slender frame differently, lighter and more expressive than anything he'd worn before. He stood before the mirror, his auburn hair framing a face that suddenly seemed softer, more aligned with the person he glimpsed in his dreams. It wasn't about pretending to be someone else. It was about peeling back layers to reveal what had always been there, hidden. This exploration marked the beginning of his journey as a femboy, a term he discovered online in forums where others shared similar stories. He became a femboy because it resonated with his core, the desire to embrace femininity in his appearance while staying true to his male identity. It started as curiosity, but it evolved into a realization that this expression made him feel whole, authentic in a way his school persona never did. Over the following weeks, Robert delved deeper. He ordered subtle makeup online, practicing in the evenings with tutorials playing softly on his laptop, a touch of eyeliner to accentuate his hazel eyes, a hint of gloss on his lips. Each application was a step toward self-acceptance, his auburn hair brushed out to fall gently over his shoulders as he experimented with styles. At home, he moved with a newfound grace, the clothes allowing him to express emotions he'd kept bottled up. Dancing lightly in the living room to soft music, he felt free, unjudged. The reason he pursued this path became clearer with every session. It wasn't rebellion or confusion, but a genuine pull toward an identity that blended masculinity and femininity, making him feel seen in his own reflection. One afternoon, after a particularly draining day at college, where group work had left him feeling overlooked, Robert hurried home. He shed his plain outfit and reached for a favorite piece, a knee-length dress in pastel blue that his sister had left behind. Pairing it with stockings and simple flats, he transformed. As a femboy, this attire wasn't just clothing, it was armor against the invisibility he endured elsewhere. He spent hours that evening journaling his thoughts, writing about how the softness against his skin mirrored the gentleness he craved in his interactions. The reason for becoming a femboy rooted in those quiet moments of discovery. It filled a void, turning curiosity into a cornerstone of his self-identity. His routine expanded. Mornings before class, he'd sometimes sneak in a quick session, applying a light foundation to smooth his features, ensuring it was subtle enough to wash off without notice. But the real magic happened in the evenings. He'd cook dinner while dressed, the apron over his outfit adding to the domestic bliss. Friends from college, all 18 or older, occasionally texted about study groups, but Robert kept his home life private, cherishing the secrecy that allowed him to explore without fear. As months passed, Robert's confidence grew. He ventured online more, connecting anonymously with communities of femboys who shared tips on styling and self-care. One forum post particularly struck him, someone describing how dressing this way helped them navigate societal pressures, turning internal conflict into harmony. It echoed his own experience. The reason he became a femboy was to reconcile the parts of himself that felt at odds, blending them into a cohesive whole. His auburn hair became a focal point. He learned to curl it slightly, letting it frame his face in ways that enhanced the feminine touches without overpowering his natural look. A turning point came during a long weekend when his parents were away. Robert decided to push boundaries, ordering a few items of his own. A wig was tempting, but he stuck to enhancing his natural auburn hair with clips and accessories. He spent the day fully immersed, cleaning the house, reading books on gender expression, and even practicing poses in front of the mirror. The reflection showed a young man who was embracing his femboy identity, not hiding from it. That evening, he felt bold enough to step into the backyard, the cool air brushing against his legs as he sat on the porch swing. For the first time, the outside world touched this private side of him, even if just in the safety of his fenced yard. Back inside, he reflected on the journey. It had started with that initial try-on, sparked by boredom and a box of old clothes, but the reason deepened. Dressing as a femboy allowed him to express vulnerability and strength simultaneously, challenging the stoic mask he wore at school. He was 18, navigating adulthood, and this was his way of claiming space in a world that often overlooked the quiet ones. School life continued its predictable rhythm. In literature class, surrounded by peers all over 18, Robert listened intently as the professor discussed themes of identity in classic novels. He couldn't help but draw parallels to his own life, though he kept them to himself. After class, he walked home with a classmate named Jordan, a friendly guy in his early 20s who shared his interest in history. They chatted about assignments, but Robert's mind wandered to his evening plans, the anticipation building. At home, he transformed once more. This time, he chose a skirt and blouse combo, adding a necklace that dangled delicately. As a femboy, these choices weren't random. They were deliberate expressions of the femininity he felt drawn to incorporate into his male framework. The reason for this path was simple yet profound. It brought joy, a sense of rightness that countered the monotony of his daily blend-in existence. One evening, while browsing online shops for more subtle accessories, Robert stumbled upon a local meetup group for gender nonconforming individuals, all adults 18 and up. The idea intrigued him, but hesitation held him back. Instead, he focused on personal growth, experimenting with nail polish in soft pinks, watching as his hands took on a new elegance. His auburn hair, always the constant, was styled with care, a symbol of his unchanging self amid the explorations. Weeks turned into months, and Robert's identity as a femboy solidified. He began incorporating elements into his everyday life, subtly. A clearer skincare routine that left his skin glowing, or socks with a bit more flair under his pants. The reason he became a femboy traced back to that first spark of curiosity, but it had grown into a vital part of how he saw himself, fostering self-love and acceptance. During a college break, he invited Jordan over for a study session, ensuring his home was neutral, no traces of his private world visible. They pored over notes, laughing about a professor's quirks. Jordan, 21 and outgoing, complemented Robert's organized space, unaware of the hidden wardrobe upstairs. As they wrapped up, Robert felt a pang of longing to share more, but he held back, cherishing the secret for now. Alone again, he dressed, feeling the familiar comfort. As a femboy, this ritual was his anchor, the reason rooted in the authenticity it provided. He spent the night writing poetry, words flowing about hidden selves and revealed truths, his auburn hair catching the lamplight. Summer arrived, bringing longer days and more time for reflection. Robert, now more comfortable in his skin, took walks in secluded parks, dressed in androgynous outfits that hinted at his femboy style without fully revealing it. The fresh air invigorated him, reinforcing why he embraced this identity. It was liberating, a way to break free from the unnoticed boy at school. One day, he confided in an online friend from the forums, a 20-year-old named Taylor who shared similar experiences. They chatted about the joys and challenges, Taylor encouraging Robert to consider coming out to trusted people. The conversation planted seeds of possibility, making Robert ponder his next steps. Back at college in the fall, classes resumed with new energy. Robert, still 18 but feeling more mature, engaged more in discussions, his voice gaining strength from his private confidence. Peers noticed the subtle change, complimenting his improved participation. All around him were adults over 18, pursuing their paths, much like he was. Home became a canvas for further exploration. He invested in better lighting for his room, perfecting makeup techniques that enhanced his features without exaggeration. His auburn hair remained his signature, styled in soft layers that complemented the feminine elements he added. As a femboy, dressing as a girl in these ways wasn't imitation. It was integration, the reason being that it aligned with his innermost sense of self. A family visit loomed. His sister, now 25, was coming home for the holidays. Robert panicked slightly, ensuring all evidence was tucked away. When she arrived, they caught up over dinner, her stories of adult life inspiring him. She mentioned finding old photos, laughing about her past fashions, unknowingly touching on the spark that started his journey. After she left, Robert reflected deeply. The reason he became a femboy was clear. It began with curiosity about those clothes, but it blossomed into a profound realization of identity, making him feel truly himself. Winter brought introspection. Snow blanketed the suburbs, and Robert spent cozy evenings dressed warmly in skirts and sweaters, sipping tea while reading. His confidence as a femboy grew, leading him to consider small public steps, like wearing a subtle accessory to class. In spring, he attended a college event, a casual gathering of students all over 18. There, he met new people, including a group interested in creative writing. One, a 19-year-old named Casey, shared poems that echoed themes of self-discovery. Robert felt a connection, wondering if this could be someone to confide in. As the year progressed, Robert's journey continued evolving. He experimented with voice modulation exercises, softening his tone for personal satisfaction. His auburn hair, ever present, was now longer, cascading in waves that he adored. The femboy aspect of his life was no longer just at home. It influenced his posture, his smile, even in public. One weekend, he decided to visit a nearby city, dressing in a full outfit under a coat for the train ride. The anonymity of the bustling streets allowed him to walk freely, window shopping and enjoying cafes. It was exhilarating, affirming why he pursued this. It was about living authentically, not hiding. Returning home, he felt empowered. Friends like Jordan noticed his brighter demeanor, attributing it to personal growth. Robert smiled, knowing the truth. Summer again, and Robert turned 19. To celebrate, he planned a solo trip to a quiet cabin, packing his favorite outfits. There, surrounded by nature, he spent days fully as his femboy self, hiking in skirts and journaling extensively. The solitude reinforced his identity, the reason crystal clear. It was the path to self-fulfillment. Back in the suburbs, college resumed with advanced courses. Robert excelled, his private world fueling his public success. He joined a study group with Jordan and Casey, all adults over 18, bonding over shared interests. One evening, after a group session, Casey lingered, sensing Robert's depth. They talked late into the night about dreams and identities, inching closer to revelation. As fall leaves fell, Robert prepared for a bigger step. He ordered custom clothing tailored to his style, excited for the arrival. His auburn hair gleamed under the lights as he tried on new pieces, feeling more aligned than ever. During a quiet moment, he drafted a letter to his sister, contemplating sharing his truth. The words flowed, explaining how her old clothes sparked something life-changing, leading to his femboy identity. Holidays approached, and family gathered. His sister arrived with stories, and Robert felt the moment building. Over coffee, he hesitated, but the conversation turned personal. That night, alone in his room, he dressed, staring at his reflection. Tomorrow, he thought, might be the day. But as he lay down, a knock came at the door. His sister, unable to sleep, wanting to talk. Heart pounding, Robert wondered if this was the cliffhanger moment where everything changed. Hope you enjoyed the story so far. The rest will be available on Patreon.